Hello, and welcome to episode 23 of the Baby Metal podcast. It's October 30th, 2019, here as we record. The podcast is a place where we gather on alternate weeks to discuss news and thoughts on the past and future projects of Baby Metal. We invite you to join us, whether you're a longtime fan or have only just arrived. I am Paul, and I am joined by Kevin.
Hello.
And Garrett.
Hello.
Okay, so if you're following along in real time, we have actually dumped quite a lot of content onto the podcast feed, but one thing, because of course just recently Baby Metal has released a new album, but one thing we have not actually talked about is the content of the album. So that's the plan for this and the next time.
Just a little thing, new album, whatever, What's an album?
So it's pretty exciting. And actually I think it's probably good that we waited a little bit to sort of digest it somewhat. I know I've listened to it a lot since it came out.
Me too.
But
yeah, I would say waiting's been beneficial for me. My opinions have definitely evolved over the last few weeks.
Yeah, my opinions have evolved, and all generally in the positive direction. So
that's good.
That's a little bit of foreshadowing.
Ooh.
Okay, so anyway, we're planning on splitting this into 2 episodes. So this time we're going to talk about the first disc, which is referred to as Sun. And then in the next episode, we will talk about the songs on the second disc and maybe sort of a summary of our thoughts on the whole thing.
Sounds good.
There are a couple of sort of news things that have happened, and maybe I'll just mention just a couple of quick things without spending a lot of time on them. So one,
Baby Metal's Guide to the Metal Galaxy.
Yeah, I don't remember what that is. What is that?
Guide to the Metal... Oh, isn't that a...
It's a short little interview.
Yeah, it was a short little video interview, right?
Oh, yes. Okay.
I don't think we got any new information that we didn't already know in it.
Yeah, but I think it was... That's kind of ridiculous that I didn't look at this in advance. This is the problem with taking show notes, making them too early.
Well... Also a byproduct of being just overwhelmed with news and things going on.
Yeah. Right. This is great. This interview is great. I remember now. Yeah, I mean, it's NME, New Music Express, I guess that is. And it's another of the sort of like interviews with them on the couch in front of in fact, I guess this is probably the same place that all these other interviews have been taking place, but it's very sort of I don't know, it's more of the same, but they're sort of increasingly relaxed, I think, basically.
Yeah, I think so.
So take a look at that, I guess. I mean, I don't know if there's much else to say about that without rewatching it first, but there was a very cool somewhat surprise Amazon Music spot that they did that was delightful.
That's really just the best word to describe that.
It was so funny. So anyone want to describe it?
It's it's Sue and Moa standing in front of a Alexa, right? And they say, "Hey Alexa, play Metal Galaxy." And then Amazon does a thing.
Yeah.
Amazon does a thing to the surprise of everybody involved. The surprise and delight of everybody involved.
That is the best,
yeah.
Because obviously I'm sure it probably took a little bit of practice to get Alexa to recognize what she was saying. But she looks just so sort of like almost startled that it worked.
Yeah, that's one of those things where they're either shocked it worked the first time or they're on take 40 and can't believe it finally worked.
Yeah. Well, I think if you look at Moa in that, I think take 40 seems a little bit more likely.
Her eyes just light up.
Because it does seem like she's like, okay, I'll smile again.
Yeah. And then she puts it away immediately. Yeah. It's like, the smile of relief that it's over.
Right. So anyway, even if you don't have time to go watch the interview, go watch this tweet a couple times because it's very funny.
It really is. Sue has the best reaction.
Yeah. It does. It kind of feels like she slips out of character a little bit.
Yeah, it does.
So, another thing that just happened, I don't know if it's today, yesterday, something like that, we learned that they have a couple of festival spots. So one is in Countdown, Japan, 1920, and that's in Makuhari Messi.
Are we back to the graphic novel? Man, they really traveled back in time.
19/20. That is. I don't know. I guess maybe it does actually cross New Year's, because they're playing on December 28th. So
I thought it was in January. Is it not? Maybe the festival is in January. I think it's a New Year's event.
Yeah. Anyway, Countdown Japan. I guess that sort of makes sense, doesn't it? Now that
yeah,
I think
I suppose
about
it does.
But so that's cool. We know the date on that. They also have been signed on to the Greenfield Festival in June 2020 in Switzerland. So
woo.
That means that we know they're at least doing a festival next summer, which is cool. We can maybe predict that they're going to do things in Europe around that time too.
Yeah, I imagine
perhaps.
that bill will increase.
That's about all I've got down here for the news, and we've got enough else to talk about that I think we can move on to that. So I guess basically the plan, we don't have much of a plan except we have an order that we're going to go in. So I guess we can start with Future Metal, which is the thing that opens the first disc. And what we know about this is that the music and lyrics are by Kitsune of Metal God. It is arranged by Meg Metal. And we've heard this, the first time we heard it was at the Yokohama shows, June 28th, 2019.
Yes.
We didn't even know it was a song. But, so does anyone, who wants to start? Someone
I'll take over here.
Okay.
The song starts off with like combining the distorted guitar tone with like a synth playing over a lead wise. That's like the majority of the song. And I don't know, I really like that kind of mashup. I feel like we get a lot of that on this album, not to get too far ahead here. But
see, okay, so we're
it's
all
hard.
laughing
It's
because
so
we were joking it earlier before we started recording that he was going to jump to the second disc while we start talking about the first song, and here we are.
Yep. That's how it works. I want to go ahead and read through the lyrics here. There's only like 4 lines. It goes, we are on an odyssey to the metal galaxy. Please fasten your neck brace to headbang. Are you still playing the guitar? This ain't heavy metal. Welcome to the world of baby metal. And I think for all 20-something words of that, it builds hype. I think it's a good opening song for them to play into shows. What do you guys think?
I think only half of that's official lyrics, right? Aren't there only like 2 lines in the official booklet?
Yeah, that's the kind of annoying thing, is we were waiting to hear what the real lyrics were. I think I believe what you just said. I mean, I think that's correct, but it's, some of this stuff is really just our guesses, right? I mean, I think it's clear enough, but This Ain't Heavy Metal was a rough guess, but that it actually appeared in there was an interview, somebody had it, I forget. It wasn't Rock Sound, it was maybe it was Kerrang. Somebody quoted it. Maybe it was Rock Sound, but anyway, it was quoted in a magazine, which is enough, I think, to make me believe that it's official. And the fasten your neck brace to headbang. Oh yeah, are you still playing the guitar? That's the one.
That's another one, yeah.
Nobody's super sure about. But the lyric sheet just says, "We are on an odyssey to the metal galaxy. Welcome to the world of baby metal." That's it. Right.
A little frustrating.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. I think Garrett's pretty close. That's kind of the general accepted within the margins guess of what the actual rest of the lyrics are.
And so the movie, I mean, so we saw the movie, mostly the same, I think, all the way except for the Forum had a enhanced movie, but otherwise the movie itself does, it's very artistic and very flashy, and it's kind of hard to see what's going on because it's very busy, but the words do float through in a lot of cases. I mean, like, you can see Odyssey and Baby Metal and
yes.
Welcome to the World and Fasten, I think,
Yeah.
So
this is an interesting one for me. I had the privilege of seeing it for the first time in Yokohama, and when we were all just confused, what the heck is this? It's one of those ones when we got the leak of the track list and the previews that I was a little surprised was on the album. I've said before too, I was also kind of surprised that in the name of was on the album.
Okay, so I'm going to stop you right there. I was wanting to talk about that, but I was trying to dodge jumping to the second disc.
That's okay.
We will get there.
We'll get there. I related it back. It's okay. I'm not going to talk about it in the name of. I'm just relating it.
Word. It's okay.
Same thought. Anyways, I put it in that category for me. It's cool. When I first heard it, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. I can get into this. I can move my head to this. But then it was over and I didn't think anything else of it. It was like, oh, that was a cool little interlude. I didn't expect it to be a featured song on the album. I think it's pretty cool as an opener. It was spectacular at the forum with the full video and the full song instead of just the 60 seconds or whatever it is we'd had previously at the lives. Yeah, it just kind of exists for me now, if I'm honest. It doesn't really feel like a song to me.
I think I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum there. Though I hesitate to call it a song, it's still on my playlist. In fact, I gotta wait to say other things, but
I really like it.
I respect it as a song, as an opening song. Do I think... I gotta watch what I say here. There's less culty vibes to it. It makes my girlfriend happier when she listens to it.
Less culty than in the name of?
Yeah, that's the best way I can describe it. It's less culty, more happy, more hype building. Whenever I'm sitting in the audience, like I've been to 2 shows now. The first one is opened by In the Name Of, and the other one was Future Metal, and I'm really kind of butthurt I didn't get to hear BABYMETAL Death live. But I think
I'd almost come back. You never know.
That's a fact. But I think I'm also at the point with without the original 3, I don't know if I want to see BABYMETAL Death. I think I'm happy with Future Metal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know that I thought I thought practically since I first heard it that it is a good opener to the opener, which is how they did in fact use it. It is really simple. I mean, really there's it is the kind of thing that, I mean, I think it works. I think it's nice, but there's much to it.
It feels low effort to me, and I think that might have something to do with why I don't really want it on the album. I agree, it's cool. My initial impressions I still have. It's cool. I'll still listen to it. I think I would have rather had, I don't know, maybe one of the Japanese exclusives on the international in its place.
See, that's exactly what I said about In the Name Of.
Well, I kind of agree with you there, too.
If I didn't drop either one of them and keep Future Metal as a title track and then get BBAB, but,
that's a whole different can of worms. It's a cool song, though. I'm happy it's there. Would I rather have something in its place? Yes. The video is really cool when they do that. I hope they continue to play the full video and open their concerts like that. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to be one of those ones where sometimes I skip it, sometimes I don't, depending on my mood when it comes up.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know. I like it. I think it's short enough that, I don't know. I think I think it is kind of a good prepare yourself for the beginning. I still sort of like it that way. I definitely like it in the live show. I thought it was really good. All right, we're about to start. Prepare yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe that's enough about that. We can then talk about Dada Dance. So these 2 in this order were how they opened the forum show, and I don't think we actually really talked much about the content of Dada Dance because we were waiting for this.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But so this is, let's see, I guess I don't know if I should keep reading all the credits, but this one is lyrics Kanata Okajima, music Okajima and Meg Metal, and arranged by Meg Metal. Meg Metal, by the way, arranged most of these things on this album.
Interesting.
So this is very I even now have sort of vacillate on this. I sort of it's super, it's a great way to start, actually. I mean, it really just pushes you ahead, it's frantic.
Yeah.
And it is interesting how it starts with weird video game music in a way that is a little bit surprising. But
the only way I can describe it, the way I've described it to people who I know in real life here, it sounds like the beginning, the very first 4 seconds of Dada Dance sound like you just won a small jackpot on a slot machine. Or am I just crazy?
Yeah, but it really feels like you are. I mean, like, it's got sort of a almost like a train sound to it, and and the video is perfect. It's just that they had at the forum. It really is just sort of like thrusting you ahead at sort of almost uncontrollable speed. So I like that. I still sort of, I kind of wish that it wasn't called this in a way, because it sort of feels like that's edged too far into like the pop sensibilities. If it had been anything else with this, otherwise this sound, I might have liked it. But saying baby and saying dance, it's like, oh, how can I like this? I don't know.
I feel like Dada Dance is. I liked rating things on a list, and this is not a top 5 song for me off this album. I think it's a strong number 6. I feel like it has to be higher because it's one of the ones we haven't heard before, and there's some pretty epic parts, like right after Talk's solo, that key change she does, it's phenomenal. Watching it live on the forum live stream was phenomenal. I can only imagine what it was like there. But like,
interesting.
I'll get more into I have another example. I'll bring this back up in, but like the EDM stuff going over all the metal, all the guitars and stuff. I'm not a huge fan of that. That's why. I mean, it was really cool with future metal, but I really didn't want to see that kind of set the pace, and I feel like they did a lot of that in Dada Dance especially.
Mm-hmm.
I'm composing thoughts. Yeah,
okay.
This might be a theme here. I wonder, because I think I might have the opposite kind of opinion to you guys.
Oh, just wait till we get to Shanty.
This one to me is actually one of my favorites on the album.
Okay. Okay, let's hear it.
And for me, I think it's because you could place it on the debut album from years ago, and it would fit in with a kind of established baby metal sound the most compared to the other stuff on the album. I think it's one of their safest songs, and that would be a criticism of mine, that it kind of sticks to what they know, but that doesn't have to be a bad thing, at least where I sit. And it is a really fun way to start a show and be kind of near the top of the album.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it sets the pace. Is very, very fast. It mixes together a lot of sort of like, stereotypical pop things. I mean, like this, like them saying, baby, baby, and this like woo business stuff.
Like I have daydreams of like walking into some old arcade with some Dance Dance Revolution machines still barely running in the 2050s, walking in, seeing a couple guys just going to town to this song.
Yeah.
But that's how all I see. Like, it's definitely, this is probably one of like the top, like I said, top 5 or 6 songs I listen to off this album, and I like it quite a bit. But I feel like, I don't know, it left me wanting more. Aside from Talk solo, I feel like it was a baby metal song, and I agree with Kevin here. It could fit. You could throw it almost anywhere in a baby metal timeline, and it would sound right. But I also like them taking risks and trying new things.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I think that's what makes this song kind of interesting, because I think the rest of the album, as we talk about it, departs from that pretty heavily.
One thing that I was thinking about this is that it does have a lot of these like identifiable little like stereotypical trope things. But I actually think that it's still well constructed. I mean, like, it isn't a pop song. It's done. They've baby metalized a pop song.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is why I think it kind of would slot in to the earlier stuff pretty well. Which is why I think I probably gravitate in this direction more than some of the other songs. It's also got a Moa solo, and that elevates it in my book pretty high.
Right. Well, that was the thing I was going to say, actually, that so one of the things that we got, not with the international edition, but with the Japanese editions, was a lyric sheet. So it actually tells us, generally speaking, what they're saying in these songs, except that there's this sort of like little rap break that is Moa's, and they didn't include the words. So we don't know what she's saying. We have. There's been long debate about this in the various Discord channels, and I think we probably have a lot of it, but it's really super not clear.
Yeah, I want to bring up someone in our chat mentioned, and I agree with this. It's a step up from Ine, and I kind of agree with that. I think it's in a similar vein. It's got a similar tone, and it does kind of feel like an evolution of that song.
I can see that for sure.
I should say, yeah, I mean, so I've been participating in the debates on this, like what Mo is saying. And I think there are some things that are clear. And I think there are some people who are way more confident than they need to be about what is being said, because I think they are wrong. But so there's no shortage of interpretations out there. You can find people claiming they know what is being said.
To be completely transparent here, I'm still trying to figure out where this Moa rap part even is. I think I know what part you're talking about, but it never really clicked in my head as a Moa solo.
Well, it's the part that's not Sue, right?
See, I don't remember ever. Like, I remember watching it on the forum, but I've been listening to it on the album, and on the album, it kind of sounds like Sue's just has vocal effects all over.
Starts at a minute 30.
A minute 30. I'm gonna find that real quick.
Sure.
Yeah. No, it's definitely her. The formation shifts. She takes center. Okay. It's very obviously her.
Mm-hmm. And she's actually also at the very least lip syncing along. I mean,
yes.
Her mouth was moving at the forum when this part was happening.
Yeah, that was the part I was thinking of that I assumed it was. It just didn't put two and two in my head.
So yeah, I mean that is a fairly delightful part about this too. That we have something really for Moa to do.
You were talking about kind of how this song has a very strong pop vibe and is hitting pop tropes. I suppose that would be a idol / J-pop / just about any pop trope to have another member kind of take the center and have a feature in the middle of a song.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. I do think that it's a little bit surprising how that sounds, though. I mean, I wouldn't have necessarily guessed that would be the way Moa would interpret this. Like, it's sure it is her, but it's very it doesn't sound like Black BABYMETAL, right?
No.
It's deeper. It's I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting that that's how that went. Yeah.
And maybe that's a sign of what's to come in the future. Not on this album, obviously, because we have all of the contents of this album, but maybe kind of their vision for the 2-person membership going forward is to throw little features in there, like we see in Da Da Dance.
They're testing us. They're building up a tolerance with the fan base.
I think it's possible actually that they tuned it down a little too. There was someone in the Discord that had tried. I forget. They raised the pitch of it by a tone or so, and it apparently sounded a lot more like Moa at that point. So
interesting.
Yeah. She
could also just be singing down an octave or lower.
Right, sure.
Rather than being pitch shifted.
Oh yeah, no, it's unclear whether that was for sure happening, but as part of the process of trying to convince skeptics that this was actually Moa,
I see.
It becomes clearer that it is.
Got it. So. All right. Well,
anyway,
I think that's enough about that one. What about Elevator Girl?
Which version are we?
English, if you're international. Or we can talk about the Japanese too, or maybe the differences. We've already kind of talked about this one a little bit.
Yeah. I would say, so this one is old, right? In a sense.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's about 2 years technically old. May 8th of 2018.
Yeah, something like that.
Because they debuted it at the BABYMETAL show I went to.
Has anybody's thoughts changed on this song now that it's live on the album?
It's kind of like down at the bottom of the list for me.
Yeah.
Not out of like, oh, I don't like the song, but I've heard it 500 times at this point. I want to listen to something different. It's burnt out. It's like setting your alarm clock to a song you like. Give it 2 weeks, you won't like that song.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've listened to these, however, whatever, 2 albums worth of songs for like 2 years, so, but yeah, I mean, I guess, so what to say about this? I do find, so we have a few of these songs in this album that we knew from before, and I haven't focused as much on them because I knew them, right? But we do know, I mean, I guess there's maybe still a couple things to say. So this is music and lyrics by BABYMETAL, arranged by BABYMETAL. We got it originally in the 2018 tour, just played in the shows, and it was released a year later. And so we have the one thing that I did want to point out, I had in the notes here about this, is that this was addressed a little bit in the PMC 100 questions. One thing that came up in there. So, I assume people remember this, but at any rate, the lyrics to this, I don't have them in front of me, but I mean, it's essentially in the Japanese lyrics. This is something about like they're elevator operators, and the next stop is hell.
Yes.
Right? And there's some discussion about the spikiness of the floor and stuff like this, but and so one question, as translated at least, is, what would you do if the elevator would actually stop in hell? And BABYMETAL's response was, that's impossible. But if it would stop in hell, I would change it to paradise.
I know. It's such a good answer.
Yeah. I love it. I think that's quite excellent. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I guess, so to try to remember what it was like before we knew this song so well, I guess it does, I think this actually is a pretty BABYMETAL-y song. It goes back and forth between sort of light jazzy, very, very heavy, then light jazzy again. The bass, continues to be heavy throughout, and really kind of drives it throughout. I like it a lot. I sort of feel like I may have liked it more than everyone else did when we first heard it, but
I like it.
Yeah.
I will say though that, and I've said this before, the English version is an instant skip for me every time.
Yes. Yeah. Maybe it's actually worth talking about this here too. So, if we talked about the English version of Elevator Girl when it came out with the video, and it's because the international edition didn't come with a lyric sheet. We actually didn't get the English lyrics. I mean, so we were puzzling about what they were, and arguing about that in the same way that we were arguing about the Moa rap, right? But interestingly, we got a video from Joe Inoue, who said that he, so I didn't know who this was before, but the video was passed around, and he apparently was the one who wrote the English lyrics for Elevator Girl. And so there's a video that kind of like talks about what he was trying to do, what his instructions were. But I mean, as we said before, it's not a translation. So, and he was told, he started doing a translation, and he was told, no, don't do that. What you want to do is to sound more kind of like current and American, and like something that, like, I don't know, that somehow the young girls would identify with or something.
Huh. I missed that.
Yeah. And so it's interesting. It's interesting to watch his video about this. He's very proud of it.
Sure.
His decisions of like how to pick these things. And I don't know that I entirely agree, maybe even at a deeper level, with like what the goal was, but it's a little bit infectious too, like to see how happy he is about all this. But so the lyrics are, girl, we're going up, girl, we're going down. And the girl part was supposed to make it sound more colloquial. Although I do sort of feel like his idea of colloquial is like 80s Valley Girl. Which is a little weird.
Oh man, that's funny.
But anyway, so see the whole world spin, spin, spin around. And it is, in fact, life can be such a pain in the butt. He talked about this for a little while. He's very proud of that.
All right.
He's the one who made Sue sing that. Keep that in mind.
No.
All right.
What's his name again?
Joe Inoue.
I'm gonna find him real quick.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, in their show notes, there's a link to the YouTube video.
Okay, where I'm gonna click that then.
And then it's like, oh my gosh, is the next line. Life's so scandalous. And the thing actually, so first of all, I think one thing that I thought was interesting about this is that I refused to believe this when people were talking about this in the Discord. It's like, they're saying, I think she's saying, it's like, oh my gosh, life's so scandalous. And I'm like, that can't be right. But it is. The people who heard that really did hear that, and I was wrong.
Yeah.
So, anyway, but it's interesting because he's actually not credited anywhere, because the credits on the international version are very lacking. And So I think, somewhere he says he's being referred to as Joe Metal, but it might just be a Wikipedia entry.
Okay.
So that's actually, I think, why partly why he did this. And there's the English video is actually a follow-up on a Japanese video that has much the same content, although I think it might be a little bit more in depth. But he just talks about the same thing in Japanese. So if you'd rather, for some reason, listen to him say all this in Japanese, there's also a Japanese version. We will have the link to that if you don't have it in the show notes.
Well, I guess there was a lot to say about the song after all.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not so much about the content, the music, but there's news about it at least.
Sure. Yeah.
But I do like it.
It's good. It's a baby metal song.
I agree.
It's fun live.
It'll
the
come back
choreography's
around.
cute. Yeah.
I'll grow to like it again.
I just don't like the English version.
Yeah.
I think the lyrics are dumb for all the reasons you just laid out.
Exactly. But they were intended to be that way.
Right.
So, and I guess basically the other note I had here is that it ends on a pretty major sequence. So, which I meant that in terms of like key, like it's very sort of like happy sounding at the end.
Okay.
But,
so Shanty, Shanty, Shanty.
Sure.
I think this is my least favorite song on the entire album.
Uh-huh.
This is my instant skip.
Really?
Yeah. It just doesn't resonate with me. Like, it doesn't sound right. Like, I'm not hating on the style of the Indian, the sitar. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Sue's vocals in it. They sound incredible. And I'll listen to it just for that. But, like, whenever I'm listening to the entire album top to bottom, I'm like, oh, I've already heard this song. If that makes any kind of sense.
Sure.
But, like,
it doesn't match my opinion, but it makes sense.
Yeah. I don't know, like, this is by far, like, there's something about it, just my brain just turns off. I refuse to enjoy it for some reason.
What did you think of when you saw it live?
I liked it live. The visuals are great. And I don't think there's a single Baby Metal song I didn't like live, but, like, I just don't know how to explain it. It's just my brain just turns off.
Interesting.
And whenever I saw it live, I was obviously into it. I was loving it. I was having a great time. But, like, whenever I'm sitting here listening to it, it's just not... It doesn't get into my soul, you feel?
Huh.
It doesn't, like, all the other songs I want to headbang to and move around to, like, especially with the next one, Oh Majanai, headbanging, but shanty, 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 what am I supposed to do? It's just like it's like a stand there and watch song.
You're supposed to rock your head side to side
naturally,
and chatter your teeth.
That's funny. Yeah, I definitely, so we got this first at Yokohama, and I listened to this a lot before we actually had a studio version of it. So, I mean, I guess I sort of feel a little bit like I can kind of identify with that, with not listening to it too hard now, because I feel like I did listen to it so much that, I'd rather move on to the new things that I didn't have.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so for me, I always thought that this was super catchy, and it's got a very sort of like dance like thump behind it that keeps going through the whole thing. It's very like dancey, I thought. Apparently it doesn't not a universal thought, but yeah, I mean, I guess here too I sort of felt like there's a kind of a style that they have taken and then baby metalized a bit, so it sounds like actual Indian music for a little bit, except that we get the thump and we get the guitars and the sort of in and out, and of course Sue's vocal work is amazing. So
yeah, if you had to build a resume for her vocally, this is one of the top ones. Oh, yeah. Her range in this song is unbelievable.
Incredible.
Yeah. So again, first time I saw this and heard this was Yokohama. Not a lot of things have blown my mind that I've seen of anything, anywhere, anytime. This kind of blew my mind a little bit because nobody expected it, and just surprise, we're going to India. Have a sitar solo.
I do believe this was the first song I really think made everybody think like, oh wow, they're going full variety mode on this album. And I do like the variety. I think it is a nice switch up from the classic electronic music that we get a lot of, but I just don't. Yeah, I'm not feeling it. Like I listened to it today, in fact, twice. But like, whenever I'm driving to work,
fun.
Yeah, I agree there, but like when I'm driving to work, any other song off the new album would suffice better.
I will say, when we went through the previews, one of the things I didn't like about the previews, and I hope was changing, was that of the places they chose to go, they picked like the most stereotypical sound they could.
Mm-hmm.
And Shanti 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 is no exception. Like, you know exactly where they're trying to go with this song from
the very beginning.
The first two measures. But of the ones that I think do that, this one bothers me the least. I don't know why. I don't know why that is. Maybe because it's just so much fun live and I haven't seen the other ones live yet. But for whatever reason, my brain has decided that that's okay for this song. And maybe it's just because I don't know of any other Indian sounding, that part of the world sounding music. So I just accept it as this is what it is. What else are they going to do? I don't know. It's fun for me. Like I said, I appreciate all the experimentation on this album. It's definitely got some baby metal sound to it. But it's a very clear departure from what we're used to on Metal Resistance and the self-titled first album.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, I didn't expect that we would have such a divergence of views. So that's interesting and cool.
Yeah, and it is actually one of my favorite sets of choreography of all the new stuff. It's so much fun to watch.
I'll agree there.
It's pretty clear that they're having a blast performing it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think we can probably move on to the next one. This is of interest. The next song is O Majinai, featuring Joachim Broden.
I've got mixed feelings about this one.
Yeah, so this is music and lyrics by Ryu Metal, arranged by Tatsuo Metal. And I think later on, at the end, we'll talk a little bit about the people that are involved in this and what other things they were involved in, because I think that's also somewhat interesting. But so everybody has, I think, strong thoughts about this in one direction or another. I guess I'll go ahead and start to say what I was going to say, which is that I like this because it is so ridiculous. It's them kind of just goofing around. So I kind of like that in that, it kind of lightens the whole mood of everything, because you can't take it seriously, and you can see that they're not taking it seriously. But I don't know, what do you think? See,
I was taking it seriously.
Huh?
I feel like the entire song is just one big guitar riff, and like now that you kind of explained it as all they're just goofing off, having fun. I think of the times back when I was in a band and I played the same riff for 5 minutes straight, and we had the most fun in the world doing that. But they also, like, the entire song is 9 in the 9999, that or Oh Majinai. Like, there's a couple verses in there, don't get me wrong, but like, this is definitely another one of those songs you listen to too many times and it gets stale pretty quickly. But I think I've kind of dodged that for the most part.
Yeah, see, I kind of agree with you there. And to go back to my previous point about stereotypical sound, this is one of the ones that bothers me on this album.
Viking metal, really, let's do it.
Yeah, it's like you really couldn't come up with something better. Yeah, this one's really bizarre for me. When I first heard it, I did not know what I was listening to. I still kind of don't. I don't think. See,
I feel like if they were going to go Viking metal, I feel like, in my personal opinion, like more of an Amon Amarth kind of sound would have been more interesting. I understand you guys might not have liked the whole screamy stuff, but
yeah, I don't know what this sounds like, so I can't really.
It's like it's kind of stuff you guys have previously described not liking. So
okay,
but it's if you think Viking metal, that's what I think.
So you're saying this is Viking metal, but it's not good Viking metal?
I say it's like influenced poorly.
Irish jig.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
metal.
I mean, because the sort of theme of it is not ship-like at all. It's like fantasy in the forest or whatever, right? So it does have it has sort of like a drunken pub kind of sound to it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, and Joachim's contribution is also ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a lot of depth to the whole thing.
It's ridiculous, and part of me wonders if it's not kind of a waste of a collaboration. with somebody like that?
I think I still find it. I mean, so I guess I found that my opinion of it kind of dipped and then came back up. So I still like to hear it. It doesn't make me want to skip it. It is the same thing over and over again. And actually, one thing that is interesting about this, I thought, was that this and maybe a Brand New Day a little bit, but this one was kind of a surprise based on what we knew in advance, because we I think we thought that the slower part of the song was more central to it, and it turns out that that's just like a little bridge.
What'd you guys? I called it the Goblin voice. But what'd you guys call Joachim's little Joachim? I can't speak English today.
It's okay. It's Swedish, right?
It's okay. It's not actually English.
Oh, look at that. He does that funny voice like a little way into the song. What do you guys call that voice? I've been calling it the Goblin voice. Mm-hmm. I don't know what he calls it, but I know it's him. I've seen a video of him doing it.
Oh, I didn't know that was him.
I think so. Yeah, that's Joachim, or however you said it.
Yeah, so I've seen a video which suggests that he could be doing it because it sort of juxtaposes a video of him at like a birthday party or something like that, inhaling helium and then talking.
That's the one I saw too. So it sounds just like it, so I assume it's the same one.
Huh.
I think it's not guaranteed to be him, but it seems more likely to be him than
it sounds like Moa. Really similar. Yes, it's more likely to be him than Moa for sure.
I don't know. Maybe I just like everything. But
that's okay.
Yeah. For me, this is one of those songs where if I want to show somebody baby metal, I might be, hey, this is really ridiculous. Check this out. Uh-huh. But it's not something I'm going to listen to on a regular basis, and I really haven't been. And I don't know. It feels really low effort to me, kind of like future metal in a way.
Uh-huh.
It might be fun live just because it's so ridiculous, if they ever perform it, and if they ever perform it with Joachim, that will obviously be hilarious and awesome. So that might change my opinion of it, but until then, it's just not. Yeah, it just doesn't really do it for me.
Yeah, I think in the notes I took, I wrote, "It is a single idea repeated, just almost too long, but not quite."
That's pretty accurate.
That's really accurate and kind of sums out how I feel about it. I do really like that bridge where it gets super heavy, though. That's fun. If there was more substance around it, I think I would like the song more.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I could imagine a better version of this, but at the same time, I think, it is sort of like a comic relief in the album too.
Yeah. Not really a fan of the ending either.
Where it just goes like a cappella or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it does sound like they're simulating not having any idea what they're doing. Like, are we done? Oh, we're not? Oh, I guess okay, we'll keep going.
Maybe.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I wonder if we'll see that live. I wonder if we need Joachim to be there for it to be live.
That's an interesting point.
It would sound totally different.
Well, yeah, if they could do it on playback like with Ethereum, but then that would be just weird.
That's the entire song.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Papaya doesn't sound all that different without If You're Alive.
Right.
So I imagine this would be about the same.
Well, would it be Sue singing along with the backing track? Because that could lead to a whole nother world of problems.
Almost certainly, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him live, but I'm open to seeing any new song live.
Right.
Yeah, hey, maybe they'll have all of the collaborators at Legend of Metal Galaxy in January.
That would be cool. I wonder if they ever will do that. I mean, it seemed like if they were ever going to do that, it would have been the Forum. But
yeah, well, they hardly played this album at the Forum.
I know. Yeah.
Well, I guess that's not really true. They played most of this album at the Forum, but everything we already knew. Yeah.
New songs live.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, only one. Dada Dance was the only premiere.
And Shine, I forgot those two were performing.
Yeah, the terrible version of Shine, Arcadia, and Future Metal.
Okay.
We'd all seen before.
Unnecessary shade thrown aside.
Okay. All right. I think we can probably move on to the other one, which I think there's a lot of stuff to talk about.
Oh, my gosh, yes.
So, Brand New Day, featuring Tim Henson and Scott LePage of Polyphia. The lyrics were by, I don't know how to pronounce it, MK Metal. music and arrangement by BABYMETAL. And so I guess we can just sort of start talking about that. So Garrett, you knew Polyphia before. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't want this to come out the wrong way, but I was kind of expecting more. And if you listen to any Polyphia before you heard this song, you understand what I mean. I understand the limitations of rotating comedy band, and they got to be able to play this stuff live. And the guys from Polyphia are a little bit, they're technical boys. They kind of go hard when it comes to fast moving fingers. So like, it'd be hard for them to write something insane that they would expect comedy band to be able to regularly play. So like, I feel like they did the best they could, making it fit in and sound great. And especially like their actual part, because you can tell Polyphia had a huge influence on the overall song, not only that little guitar solo towards the end.
Yeah, I mean that's part of what I was thinking when you were saying that, is that like I wonder how the division of labor was, because it does feel like they participated a lot more in the overall construction of the song than other collaborators contributed.
Like BABYMETAL took over their style, like not like lyrically, of course, because Polyphia doesn't do that, but like the guitar sound and the flow of the music altogether sounds like a Polyphia song. If you scrap away the lyrics or the words and then add a little more fancy guitar stuff, it turns into a Polyphia song.
Interesting. I like this song a lot. I don't know what that says about, maybe I'm a Polyphia fan and didn't know it.
I think Sue adds a lot of dimension to it.
She does. So like I said, I like this song a lot. The guitar and the musicality behind it is really cool. It's really layered well, and there's a lot of cool detail to listen to and pick through as you're listening to the song.
Yeah, if you have a nice pair of headphones, you're gonna want to turn those up.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm thankful I didn't cheap out on a good pair of headphones, because it sounds great.
Yeah, and Sue's vocals are great. I could see this one being just a cool jam live. My one criticism of it is it doesn't sound at all like a BABYMETAL song to me. It sounds really pretty generic as far as like a prog rock song would go.
I think BABYMETAL, they're even quoted, like, I just saw it on the show notes. Brand New Day, question 42, in which song do you discover the new BABYMETAL? Sweet Metal, Brand New Day. Up until now, we had a lot of positive songs, but it's cool how this one kind of is holding back. But for the first time I heard it, I was surprised and asked myself, is this metal?
Yeah.
And that is a touchy question. I would argue no, but in the same respect, I wouldn't classify Da Da Dance as metal either. But
yeah, I mean, I think it's maybe that's not super important, but it's still heavy. They're all heavy.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
So, and they sort of fade in and out of their heaviness. Even this one.
Yeah, and I guess that's the theme of the album, right? I mean, they're clearly departing from what they've done in the past. So I guess for me to say that it's not BABYMETAL isn't really fair, because it's pretty clear they're experimenting and trying new things and reimagining what it means to be BABYMETAL and what the sound is and what the genre is. So I don't say that as a bad thing. I just think it's just interesting to talk about.
Yeah, so this is one that my opinion has taken a bit of a roller coaster on as well. At first, I did really think it sounded like a pop song, and the more I listen to it, the more I think that it actually really is. It's sort of like they've taken a very complex thing, and I think both Polyphia-esque and BABYMETAL-esque thing, and they've kind of pushed it into a pop song shape, but it's still actually very complex and sophisticated. The stuff at the beginning, particularly, like it really feels like Polyphia. They're doing all of this, like this weird, like scampering around on the harmonics, and there's a thing that they do with the volume. They're actually like playing the volume knob, which is something that it
takes. That's a whole nother layer of guitar skill to do that.
Yeah, and that's, so that's there's this like hidden depth to this, and then it sort of switches into something that really does sound like the light rock station.
Yeah. Yep, I do know.
But
that's what I think makes the song really interesting to me.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a complaint I have about Brand New Day. The snaps. I can't stand them.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
well, see, that's the thing. I mean,
replace him with anything besides a snap, a cowbell, a loud snare, or a crashing cymbal. Like anything besides a snap, like I think would just fill so much more than that. That's what I think. That's what's only giving it that poppy vibe to me. I feel like if they did away with that, it'd take it up to the next level.
I mean, and I sort of saw that and the other sort of like, sort of like stereotypical pop things as being they're able to take the pieces of pop songs and kind of like pull it apart and put it back together in an interesting way, Like I think there is actually something cool about the fact that they have, that they did the woo and Dada Dance, and they've got the snaps in this and the I think there is something interestingly intentional about that. That they really are taking things that are from pop songs that you might not respect very much.
Yeah.
Wedging it into this.
It's like, what are they? It's like deconstructing and cooking.
Yeah.
Right? That's kind of what it feels like. Yeah, this is a really interesting song for me. It's one of the ones on the album I don't know that they'll ever do live. Like it'll go into the black hole.
Yeah,
like a lot of Metal Resistance did.
I have very mixed feelings about that statement, Kevin, but I hope to disagree.
Yeah, no, it'd be
like
super
you hope
cool
to see it live. Yeah.
But I
want it live really bad. There's so much I want to say about this, but like, I feel like it wouldn't be doing them justice if they didn't have Tim and Scott there playing it.
Exactly. That's kind of what I was thinking as well.
That's like, in my head, that's like one of the biggest things that would prevent this from being ever played live. I feel like the Common Band are definitely capable of learning it and playing it probably a million times faster than I ever could, but there's too much cool stuff going on.
Well, and not even just being cool, but I mean, like I guess what I was thinking about it was that Polyphia has constructed a style for themselves, and this is very much in their style, and it's a little weird to have someone just cover it like that.
Well, I'd almost want to make the same argument about Dragon Force and like Road of Resistance, but that's totally different still.
Yeah, it could be, although I feel like Polyphia is more unique than Dragon Force.
Yeah, that was my next statement, was for sure. There's plenty of speed metal bands out there. There's only one Polyphia.
Yeah, for me, this falls into like the Tales of Destiny's realm for Metal Resistance. Like they might do it once at a special show like Tokyo Dome, and maybe they will have Tim and Scott there performing live with them. I just don't think we'll see it.
That's the vibe I get from the exclusives. I feel like if those are ever going to get played, it's going to be special.
Yeah.
I was hoping this would be one that's played maybe a little bit more often, but I doubt it. They have too many other catchy songs that'll take better live to live crowds.
Yeah. Definitely an interesting song.
Yeah.
Speaking of interesting songs.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I was just going to say, or speaking of exclusives, or should we move on?
Oh, man. Up, up, down, down, left, right, BABA, start. Oh, wait, that's not it.
Well, there's no, right. So the next song in our list is one that only appears on the Japanese editions. So it's written in symbols, but it's up, down, left, right, BBAB. Music and lyrics by Ryu Metal, arranged by Yupa Metal. And okay, so what do we think?
Game over or continue? Continue, yep. Please. It's I don't know what else to say about it. I feel like if it were to compare to any other song on this album, it would be Dada Dance, but even then they're not really comparable. It's like
I don't think it sounds like another song on here, but
it starts off kind of slower, but like once the guitars and drum picks up, it's one to headbang to for sure. Like though the electronic effects never go away, the guitar and drums blend into them and sound amazing, of course. But we need the song live. This is like, I'm gonna go over my full top 5 eventually throughout the course of this 2-episode podcast, but I'm gonna say this one's top 3 easily. This song deserves to be played live. It deserves more attention, and this is the one song that I wish they would have dropped in the name of for.
I could get behind that.
For a while I thought I liked this. So this is right before Nightburn, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But for a while I was definitely thinking I liked this one better. Between those two, I wanted to listen to the BBAB song more. I'm not sure that I don't know if it's persisted. Like I sort of feel like I may have gotten to satiation level with this song, but but I like it.
I'm getting there.
The drops into the heavy parts are pretty satisfying, is what I wrote in the show notes. Like
Yeah.
when it gets heavy, it's sort of like, yeah, all right. And it does have that same kind of like, baby metal alternation between like the bubbly, computer game stuff and then that like, hard guitar stuff. And so.
Is this
nice.
song a Sue solo?
There's so many, this has got so many vocal effects on it. But probably, I don't know.
Statistically.
Well, I mean, if you want to go that way, technically all songs are Sue solos, right? Because there's no black baby metal anymore.
Well, yeah.
But I mean,
there's no Moa solos.
From a live perspective, is this performed solo, you think? If it were to be performed?
I don't think it would be. My gut says no, it wouldn't be, but my heart says we need one still.
I've lost track of what we're saying. So your gut's saying it is a solo?
My gut's saying that this isn't going to be performed solo, but my heart wants it to be.
Yeah, my gut says this would be a solo. I don't know why.
Yeah, I have no argument from my side either. It's just what I'm saying.
Maybe because it's it's kind of down tempo. It feels like a power ballad.
Okay, I'm on that side. I think
maybe that's why I think of it as a Sue solo, like we're used to seeing from the last two albums.
I guess it doesn't have any obvious. I'm trying to remember now. I don't think it has any sort of obvious like backup vocals to it.
Yeah, that's what I
it's
don't.
all one line too.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm coming from too. I'm listening to it in the background of my headset too, and I don't hear anybody else on it.
That's something that we haven't actually talked much about, but there are places at least where it seems like you can hear Moa in some of the other songs.
Yes.
But
I don't hear her at all in this one, even through all the processing.
What's frustrating about this song is that it's a Japanese exclusive and that we're never going to see it in the United States live.
Yeah.
And never say never. They played Syncopation in the UK.
Okay, yeah, that's right. But if we're going to see a song, it's going to be at the 10/10/20 show.
Could be.
I doubt they're going to play it anytime before then.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. I'm hesitant to even speculate on what they would do at a show like that after assuming they would play more of stuff we hadn't heard at the forum, and they didn't.
Nothing's off the table now.
Yeah.
Imagine they save like Night Night Burn for like they never play that one live.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah, it's strange.
Oh, I'd be so mad.
There was a sort of skipping both back and ahead. One of the questions from the PMC 100 question things was what dance was the hardest to memorize from Metal Galaxy? And Moa Metal answered this in a way that sort of dodged the question, sort of, but saying that she's kind of guessing that Brand New Day and BMC or BXMXC would be like they can't figure out how to choreograph them,
right?
So no, I don't actually know why I even brought that up, but
well, because I was talking about is this a solo or not?
Yeah, if it would be live, yeah.
See, out of all this, I'll repeat myself when we get further down the list.
Yeah. And perhaps we should keep going down the list because I'm seeing the clock ticks away.
Yeah.
With no mercy.
Night Night Burn.
Yeah.
I had this discussion with my with one of my roommates not too long ago, whether or not the intro was the first few seconds of the song was deceptive of the rest of the song or not.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a hard disagree to that. Like if you listen to it top to bottom and completely remove like all the acoustic guitar in your head and all the bongos, it's a metal song. Like it goes hard.
Yeah.
It just needs. I feel like they chopped the song in half of what it could have been by adding that stuff. Like I feel like this is one of the songs where less is more. I feel like they have the rhythm and they have everything they need to make this a metal. Like this would be my number one if it wasn't for all the extra stuff like sprinkled on top of it. And that's what it feels like to me. I don't feel like the bongos or the acoustic guitars in between were planned from the beginning. I feel like those were added on.
Yeah,
like
well,
after Metal Resistance, they said the song was before from the Megatsune era.
Uh-huh.
I feel like maybe even back then it wouldn't have had all that stuff.
And I think that's an interesting take because, and I'm inclined to agree with you because, well, just because of what we know, we have no indication that they would do something like this, and it's almost like they added stuff like that to match the theme of experimenting and being really international with the sound of this album, right?
And I was trying to figure out what area would this song be from? If Shanty's from India,
South America.
South America.
So what's really funny, we had a lot of time in the car on this tour, so we got to talk about this stuff a lot. And one of us brought up something that now it's all I hear when I hear this song. If you sample the acoustic guitar parts and the bongos and stuff like that, sample just in the trumpets, sample just that, and then go listen to a Ricky Martin song.
I don't know who Ricky Martin is.
Oh my gosh!
Isn't this what you get when you are rickrolled?
Well, no, that's not Ricky Martin.
Isn't it? Who's Rick Astley?
That's Rick Astley.
Okay,
they're never going to give you up.
If they drop a Rick roll in one of their songs, I'm done being a heavy metal fan.
So Ricky Martin was an extremely popular Latin pop rock.
Okay, so that's why I'm hearing Latin
artist in kind of the late 90s, early 2000s, in the 90s.
Okay. That explains the guitar, the Latin guitars and whatnot. Okay.
So do this. Go to YouTube.
Doing it.
Put in Ricky Martin, play the first song, the most popular song you can, and just skip around it, and you'll hear it, And now it's all I hear when I hear this song, and it pisses me off.
Yeah.
So sorry if I ruin this for anybody else, but I guess that comes back to your point, to go full circle on this one, Garrett. I think you're right.
Okay, Ricky Martin? Ricky Martin from 2016.
Well, no, go back in time. Well, I guess 216 probably doesn't matter. It probably all sounds the same.
La Vida Loca.
Oh, yeah, that's a great one. That's a banger. That's a banger. You've heard that one, I'm sure.
Yeah, that is a well-known song, but...
Yeah, very well known. Anyways...
Okay, yeah, you suck. Thanks for telling me that.
The existence... I still think that the existence of other... yes, right, exactly. This was prominent during the World Cup. But, I mean, I guess the existence of other songs doesn't need to ruin these, right? I mean,
no, I mean, it doesn't ruin this.
It doesn't ruin
but it's all I hear. It's all I hear, and it makes me laugh. And to go back to your point, and I hadn't thought about this or considered this, is I wonder if they did add that stuff, this year or whenever they were putting this album together, and it wasn't present when they were writing this originally, around the first album.
When you're done with this podcast, I encourage everybody listening to listen to Night Burn and then just drown out all the stuff that you think would be extra. And it turns into a really good metal song.
Interesting.
See,
yeah.
Okay.
Right now, it's a really good baby metal song. Don't misquote me there. But
see, I really like this. So, I mean, I guess I think it actually really does do the fusion stuff relatively well. Like it starts off super heavy, but then sort of breaks, and it doesn't. It does have a little bit of a comical vibe to it, but I mean, I really find that it works for me. I mean,
well, I think it works too. I don't hate it. I like the song as it is. In fact, this is probably, I think, my number one or number two. But I feel like they dropped a lot of potential for fans like me who are definitely more from the metal scene.
Yeah, but
in favor of Caribbean music or whatever genre they're trying to be. South American.
But there's no song in this album that's like what you're talking about, except maybe In the Name of, right?
That's arguable. I will argue that, but no, there's really
what
not.
I'm saying is
the first 5 seconds of Night Burn is what I'm looking for. The first 5 seconds of Night Burn is what I'm looking for, and I got that for 5 seconds, and then they kind of just sprinkled stuff distractions. They sprinkled distractions for me,
But see, I guess what I'm saying though is that that's not baby metal though, right?
Yeah, I agree, wholeheartedly agree.
Thinking about this song and talking about this makes me want to revisit Shanti Shanti Shanti, because I said I'm not sure why I think it works here, the Indian sound, and why it doesn't work anywhere else when they incorporate kind of that generic sound. And I think I have a thought on that from talking about Night Burn. Shanti Shanti Shanti, the sitar and that sound is actually incorporated into the melody, into the whole song. Night Burn, it's just kind of dropped in, and then it goes back to doing whatever else it was doing. It feels like an afterthought in Night Burn.
Yeah,
like they're doing it for the sake of being different and not for the sake of being artistically expressive. That
opens up a new appreciation for Shanty to me, because I never really thought of it that way. That genre is definitely blended into that song a lot, but it's not really into... Okay.
Yeah, it just kind of happens in Night Night Burn, and then we go back to the chorus, and it's gone. Whereas in Shanti Shanti Shanti, it's just there the whole time.
Yeah, that's the whole song.
You can tell it was written for that style.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get the same sense with Night Night Burn, and it bothers me.
So I guess the other thing about having Night Night Burn be so old, to the extent that any of this is, has actually survived from that time, is that it does more of this alternation. Like, it's, rather than fusing, it's alternating in a way that like the early stuff did. So so that could in fact be because it's early, right?
Yeah,
maybe
you could be right in that sense. And all this being said, is I still think this is probably my favorite song. One of them, one of four.
Yeah, I do like the song. I do listen to it. I don't skip it. But the freaking acoustic guitar and all that, the Ricky Martin part just
it hurts.
It hurts. Like you could have done better. You could have done better.
So I think I mentioned this when we were talking about the previous one, but like this, I paired this in my mind with up down left right BBAB because they were next to each other, and so for a while I was really sort of tilted toward the other song, but I didn't think I liked Night Night Burn. But then suddenly it turned out that I did. There's one thing that I just like. There's a few things that I noticed. I guess maybe we'll think about this in Kagero as well later. But there's one place in Night Night Burn where like I cannot avoid moving my head.
Is it the first 5 seconds?
No. It's like in the middle when all the music drops out and they say Choto.
Oh, sure.
Okay, yeah.
It's like it's involuntary. It's weird.
That's what I love about a lot of BABYMETAL's music is like you start moving your head before you even really acknowledge you're moving your head. I think that's part of just like me being a metalhead too. I guess it's permanently ingrained that good music equals neck movement.
Yeah.
Like pity the fool who tries to headbutt me. I'll come at him.
All right, so I think I'm not going to let you guys convince me that I don't like the song. I like it a lot.
No, it's to rewind. We love the song.
Okay. All right. Let's
all go to the lobby.
Yeah.
Get yourself a snack.
Right. I think it may be about time to. So we just completed disc 1 of the 2-disc Metal Galaxy. And so I think we will now stop and we will continue this with the next disc, next episode. And so that's it for this episode. You can join us on the BABYMETAL Podcast Discord to continue the conversation. Rating the podcast on whatever platform you listen on will help people find it, so please do that. We'll be back here we're going to be back here almost immediately, and at some point you will get the next episode in the feed. We hope you'll join us next time, and until then, see you.